I'm Rantasmo, and Electroclash needs more gay. Writing an Electroclash song is not terribly difficult. You don't even really need to be able to sing. All you really need to do is play the same 4 notes over and over again on a synthesizer, and then monotonously sing-talk something about cocaine and robots. And cocaine robots. Writing a good Electroclash song, however, takes a certain amount of skill. Electroclash is a genre of dance music highly influenced by 1980s new wave synth pop. It seems like there's at least a little wiggle room in determining what is and isn't Electroclash, since the term has been applied to groups as low-key as Ladytron and as flamboyant as Scissor Sisters. It was something of a fad that occupied the early to mid-2000s, but still persists and still influences more current musical trends. And like a lot of musical trends, it has roots in queer culture. A signature of Electroclash is an ironic emphasis on fashion, style, and superficiality that borders on camp. For a primer on Electroclash fashion, look no further than the 1983 movie Liquid Sky. This movie, you guys. I don't even... This movie is what I imagine it would look and sound like if Kraftwerk threw up on a Patrick Nagel painting. It's about... I really don't know another way to say this. It's about heroin-addicted aliens that eat orgasms. It's classy, especially considering that very few of the characters are not rapists. Anne Carlisle stars as both Margaret and Jimmy, who's a dude. Both fashion models, both drug addicts, both bisexual, both awful dancers. You know how whenever there's a school dance scene or something in a movie, the actors aren't actually hearing the music, so they all end up looking like they have terrible rhythm? Well, one way to draw attention away from that is to have everybody dance like this. Just humping air. Look at them go. Anyways, this flying saucer lands on Margaret's apartment building, and then everyone she has sex with starts dying. Because the aliens are absorbing their sweet, sweet endorphins, and then teleporting glass into their head. For some reason. The whole thing is an elaborate satire of the new wave avant-garde fashion scene, thus the abundant number of people who look exactly like Lady Gaga, and her husband, Lord Gaga. And it's not just the clothing, but the themes in this movie that seem to encapsulate the most recognizable elements of the Electroclash aesthetic. Drugs, sleaziness, sci-fi, and irony submersed in more irony. This is taken to extremes with a band like Fischerspooner, which makes pretty good music, don't get me wrong. But it's a little overshadowed by Casey Spooner and his face paint, and his big, weird hair garnish. There's a real theatricality to Fischerspooner's videos and concerts, and I really don't know anyone else who can pull off this hat. Electroclash elements are still visible in some of Scissor Sisters' work, especially singles like Kiss You Off. But a lot of their musical influences are much more noticeably 70s than 80s. And in contrast to the cool stoicism that dominates other bands, lead vocalists Jake Shears and Animatronic have a much more playful image. They seem like they're genuinely having a good time singing with those watermelons. They're sort of Muppet chic. And that's a phrase that doesn't get used nearly enough.